Well, moving on to our special focus tonight, hours before his execution was set to take place, Pakistan today postponed the hanging of Shafkat Husain, a man who was reportedly just 14 years old when he was convicted by an anti-terror court for the kidnapping and murder of a 7-year-old boy. The delay has been granted for just 72 hours, during which the Pakistani government will probe allegations made by activists and Shafkat's family on his age and that he was tortured into a confession by the police at the time. There have been widespread protests for days by Pakistan's civil society against the hanging and desperate appeals by Shafkat's family. Pakistan lifted its moratorium on the death penalty in all capital cases earlier this month after restarting executions for terror offensive after the Taliban school massacre in Peshawar last December. Well, these are certainly troubling times for Pakistan as it deals with terrorism internally, and ties with India are frankly also going nowhere at the moment. After calling off talks last August over a meeting with Hurriyat leaders, India's Foreign Secretary was in Islamabad earlier this month to talk to his counterpart as part of a Sak Yatra. Some days later, 2611 key accused Zakir-ur-Rahman Lakhvi was granted bail by the High Court, leading to another round of acrimonious diplomatic exchanges. India is still looking for evidence that after Peshawar, Pakistan is serious about tackling all terror groups, including the Lashkar-e-Taiba. But at the moment, that doesn't seem to be the case. Joining us now, a man who has been very blunt and outspoken on the challenges that his country faces, Pakistan's former envoy to the United States, Husain Haqqani, who's here in Delhi tonight. Mr. Haqqani, lovely to have you in the studio with us this evening. You know, we're speaking on a day when, frankly, when I woke up this morning, there were worries that this young man would be hung for this crime that he was accused of committing, Shafkat. And it's a story that's made international headlines, not just because his case was a humanitarian one, but many are saying that it reflects perhaps the internal dynamics within Pakistan right now. After Peshawar, has the country become bloodthirsty for revenge? Is that necessarily the right approach? If you could reflect on that first.
Well, first of all, I don't agree with anybody being bloodthirsty. What Pakistan needs to do is get out of the business of jihad, which we got into on the premise that it will somehow solve the Kashmir problem. For that, we need to go after jihadi groups. We need to shut down Lashkar-e-Taiba. We need to shut down Jaish-e-Mohammed. We need to make sure that the remnants of Al-Qaeda are no longer in Pakistan, that the Islamic State does not use Pakistan as a safe haven. We need to go after the Afghan Taliban. All we have done so far is go after the Tehreek-e-Taliban, and then we are using the anti-terrorism law to go after what are basically normal murder cases. I am not saying that there is anything normal about murder, but all I am saying is that these are murder cases that are part of the normal criminal justice system. That's not what anti-terrorism is meant to be. Anti-terrorism laws should be used for terrorist groups, and unfortunately, we have not yet focused on the terrorist groups that the international community has described as terrorist groups.
So is the focus misplaced right now on these sort of mass executions that are taking place?
Absolutely. Executions are not the issue. The issue is, will the linkage between the state apparatus and jihadi groups be broken? Will the legitimacy that has been afforded to people like Hafiz Saeed and Zakir-ur-Rahman Lakhvi be eliminated? Will Pakistan's courts stop saying there is not enough evidence when the rest of the world feels that there is enough evidence against a well-known terrorist?